Hi, 7th grade. Today we're moving on to 2.5. We're going to be dividing with scientific notation today. As a quick warm-up, see if you can do this. Go ahead and pause the video and multiply with scientific notation. If you're back, let's check it, okay? When we multiply scientific notation, we multiply the first factors and then we multiply the second factors. So we have 2 times 4, which gives us 8. Then we have powers of 10 with the same base, right? And when the bases are the same in multiplication, we add the powers. So we end up with a final answer of 8 times 10 to the 9th power. And there's no need to change anything because 8 is between 1 and 9, right? It can't be 10, it can't be higher, right, to be in scientific notation. So today we're going to be doing similarly, but opposite, division. So we're going to dive into an example. The directions are going to say simplify. And they're going to give you mostly in fraction form. So 7.9 times 10 to the 5th over 2.3 times 10 to the 3rd. So again, just like we did when we multiplied, we're going to keep the like factors together. Okay, so if I take the first part, so 7.9 divided by 2.3, I remember that I can't have a decimal on the outside of division, so I move it to the right. And whatever I do to the outside, I have to do to the inside. So I'm gonna have to do that same thing. And I like it clean. I like to show all my work and all the steps. So now I'm just gonna rewrite it. So I have 23 into 79, okay? So 23 is pretty close to 25. I'm pretty good with quarters, right? Because we use money for all the things. And 79 is pretty close to 75. So if we're talking quarters, my first guess is that this can probably go in 5 or 3 times, right? 3 quarters, 3 times 25 is 75. So off to the side, I'm gonna go ahead and do that math, okay? I wanna make sure I'm still in the screen. So 23 times 3 is my guess, and I get 69, so within 10. So if I add another 23, that's gonna be too big. So 3 is gonna be my first number, and when I subtract the 2, I end up with 10, okay? So I'm gonna add a decimal and keep going. So if I add a decimal, I'm gonna add a 0, bring it down, now I have 100. And then similarly, thinking quarters, I need 4 to get to 100. So I'm gonna try 23 times 4. Carry the 1, I get 92. Okay, so I've got 3.4 so far. When I subtract, I get, after I borrow, I get 8. There's 8 between. So I'm gonna add another 0, bring it down, now I have 80. I already have the answer to this one from when I guessed earlier, 369. When I subtract, I get 11. So this is gonna continue. For today, I'm gonna put it up here. For today, when dividing, in scientific notation, stop at the hundredths. Okay, so once you have 2 places, just stop. You don't need to get the third and round. I'm not worried about that. I just want you to divide to 2 places after the decimal and then move on to your powers of 10, okay? So I have so far 3.43. That's when I divided the first factors. So now I have to pay attention to the second. And this was part of yesterday's lesson. So this will help 10 to the 3rd. This will help let me know. This will help me check for your understanding to see if you're able to get that completed, okay? If yesterday made sense. None of you popped on for office hours, so I think you get it, okay? At least not about this, right? Okay, so if they have the same base and we're dividing, if you look in yesterday's notes, if you forgot, you're going to subtract, right? The opposite of multiplying. We add when we multiply, we subtract when we're dividing. So that means I'm left with 10 to the power of 2. And I'm going to put this back in the same form that I was given, right? So they were division, but I had scientific notation. So 3.43, in order to be complete, needs that power of 10. So 10 to the second power. So you take each of them individually and then divide them for your final answer. Sorry. I didn't realize I was cut off there. Okay, let's do one more. Let's say we have, for example, 2, 4.8 times 10 to the 4th over 2.95 times 10 to the 6th power. So again, I'm going to take my first factors and divide them separately, and then I'll take my second factors and divide those. So I've got 4.8 that I'm dividing by 2.95. Top number always goes inside. I still have a decimal problem. This time I have 2 on the outside, so I have to move it 2 spaces on the inside. When I clean that up, it looks like 295 into 480. I'm just going to throw in that decimal because I'm probably going to need it anyway. So 295 is pretty close to 300, and 300 is only going to go into 480 one time. Okay, so 295 is going to be my first to subtract. And when I do, I get 185, which is not big enough. So I'm going to add a 0. Now I have 1,850. So if this is close to 300, I know 3 goes into 18. If I just focus on that first part, 3 goes into 18 6 times. So that's going to be my first guess. Okay, so over off to the side, I've got 295 times 6. Do some math here. 54, 5, 6, 7. Carry 5, 1, 7, 1 up. Okay, so we end up with 1770, which is 100 away. If I add another one, that's going to be too much. Okay, so 6 goes over that space, right, in the tenths, and then I bring over my number to subtract, and when I do, I end up with 80, which is not big enough, so I bring down another 0. So now I have 800. So 3 goes into 8 2 times, right? 300 will go into 8 2 times. So 295 times 2. Do the math there. 8, 9. Carry the 1. 590. If I add almost 300 more, that's going to be too big. So 2 is going to be my next number. Subtract my answer. And I get 21. So I can continue if I needed to solve, but I don't because I have a hundredths place. Okay, so for my answer, I'm going to have 1.62 times, and now I need to focus on that second part, okay, of scientific notation. So I have 10 to the 4th divided by 10 to the 6th. And whenever you bring one up, it changes its sign, right? Or the simple part that when we combine powers of 10, we subtract them when we're working with division. So we have 4 minus 6, okay? Which leaves us with 10 to the negative 2nd power. which will be part of our final answer. In scientific notation, you can have positive and negative powers, so we don't have to worry about any changing after that. If it's positive, great, and if it's negative, great. Okay? All right, guys, I do have office hours today, so if you are feeling like you need some extra help or you want to check the work that you've done, come see me at 2:15. Your homework is going to come from page 93. And we are going to take a look at numbers. Nine and 10, 14 and 15, those are comparing. So you have to pay attention to the numbers and the powers. And let's do 20 through 22. 5, 6, 7 problems.